Now we are moving towards the next speaker. This speaker is really amazing. All of our speakers are really amazing, but this is one of the most innovative, well-connected, inspiring business tycoon. And he belongs to the great country of India, which has a lot of potential. And he is the best friend of some very good political figures, including the Narendra Modi, which is the Prime Minister of India. We are so blessed that he is here. Whenever I see him, I feel a special love for him. I would like to invite Dr. Mustafa Saasa on the stage to discuss Legend Creates Legacy.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, champions of the industries, connoisseurs of your field, ladies and gentlemen. I see a lot of icons in this hall, and many thanks to Dr. Musa. Dr. Musa has a charisma of pulling stars from the Milky Way and creating his own galaxy, what I see in this hall. See, there is a journey from an icon to legend. There are many legends, the stories and the people we know who have done something hundreds and thousands of years back are still remembered, maybe through their bloodline or through the values they have passed, or they have created something which is still continuing. Can you guess which can be the oldest surviving company in the world? Can we have any wild guess? Pardon? Okay, yes, Ford can be, but that's still too young. The oldest surviving company was started in 578 AD. 46th generation continuing that legacy. The company is from Japan. The name is Kongo Gumi. You can Google, you can find a lot of information on that. Why I'm talking about legacy? Because I am one of the product of the legacy. My father started business in Dubai in 1958. When he came to Dubai, there was no water supply, no electricity. There were no roads. Obviously, then there were no cars. Few of the four-wheel drives were there for oil explorations and all. And when there is no electricity, means sunrise is a day and sunset is a day off. In that era, India was quite advanced. India had its own airline, electricity, telephone, roads, infrastructure, everything. And of course, my father, he came from Bahrain. So he was in Bahrain from 1944 to 58. And even Bahrain was much advanced at that time. I used to ask him, what made you stay here for 6 years? Because electricity, water supply was connected in 64. Without basic civil amenities for 6 years. And he always used to tell me, we had the vision that this place will grow. Of course, in that time, early days of when I joined business in 90, I could not understand that. But when I did my PhD in leadership, in my dissertation, in my thesis, I wrote that vision is seeing the invisible. Everybody saw Dubai as a desert. His Highness Sheikh Rashid, peace be upon him, he saw as a beautiful city. and so as every subject and habitat of this city. Companies, only 30% of the company passes on to the second generation. 15% to the third generation, and only 3% survives in the fourth generation. To create a legacy, there are certain things which are stopping the legacy or discontinuing this process. They are like lack of vision, lack of values. We've seen a lot of corporates vanishing in no time because their model was not built on values. One example of a Kingfisher in India, and many in India you can find, to build, it takes a lot of efforts to build an empire of 9,000 crore, maybe around $1 billion, $1.2 billion empire. But in no time it vanished because it was not based on the values. You require unity in the family. A proper structure is required. Without that, you cannot create a legacy, because there is always someone in the family, in the generations to come, whose vision, values, and thought process is not aligned with the family values and thought process. So how you are going to deal with that? A proper strategy. Of course, previous speakers talked a lot about strategy, and of course our guest of honor, His Excellency, also talked a lot on the strategy. One thing I learned from his speech is that, he told he reviewed 185 proposals and shortlisted 25. So that requires a strategic decisions on, it's not everything what you get, can be viable. And of course, right talent. A good teamwork is always required to create something worthwhile. In this era, the one-man band doesn't work. You require a good team. In teamwork, a lot of definitions have been written. One of which I like the most is, in a good team, you get extraordinary results from ordinary people. We all are ordinary people. But in a good team, you can get an extraordinary results. I remember talking on the values in my school days. It was mid-80s I'm talking about. I heard an interview of J.R.D. Tata. In that interview, that time Reliance was not on the horizon, and Tata was the leading, even now they are leading conglomerate. J.R.D. in his interview, he said that we could have been 3 times bigger than what we are now if we would have kept our values aside, but we chose to be like this. A company and an organization built on value has a sustainable life. There are certain emotional blockages. If you don't address that, it's very difficult or impossible to create legacies. When you work in team, there is no room for abuse. There is no room for blame game, confusion. Communication is very important. 95% of the problems emerges out of lack of communication. Doubts, egos, guilt, frustrations, mission on moon. He was on his periodic visit in NASA, on an inspection visit in NASA. He saw one person, he was mopping the floor. JFK asked him, "What are you doing here?" the answer of that person can be written in golden words in stone. He could have said that I'm mopping the floor, I'm cleaning the floor, I'm sweeping the floor, could be the normal answer. But his answer was, I'm helping sending man on moon. That is the value of the vision, dissipating to the lowest end without diminishing its value. Normally we have seen the vision and mission statements are in the copper plate gathering dust. But this, if you don't dissipate to the lowest person in your organization and aligned everyone to that vision and the mission of the company, you cannot have a sustainable, lasting organization or create a legacy. To create a legacy, there is another very important phase where everyone has to pass on. Many a times, there may be many champions over here are the first generation's businessmen or maybe second generation. Of course, His Excellency is the fifth or fourth generation businessman. That's an exception over here. But most of us are first or second generation. There are 4 stages in business. The first stage is in the business. When a person starts, it's a startup, he is doing everything, or with the help of few people, he is running his organization or a business, but everything touches him. Every process he is involved in every detailing of the company. And I'm sure that all the champions sitting over here, if you would be in that phase of the business, you wouldn't be available in this hall. Because you are so busy in every day-to-day item, every day running and firefighting and processes of the company that you don't get time to do anything else. From that stage, the second stage is on the business. You have to appoint someone to continue that job, what you are doing on the routine thing, and see your business from the panoramic view. That will give time for expansion, diversification, attend conferences, exhibitions, and grow your business. The third and another important step in that business in the process is create a BOD. You should have a board of directors making strategic decisions and appoint a CEO who will execute your strategies. We have seen businesses transforming from in the business to on the business, but that third phase is very few passes that. And if you don't, then you will limit yourself and cannot grow. And the fourth and another most important phase is out of business. If you want to create a legacy, you have to have your successor in place, groom him, see him growing, give the reins of the business in his hand, and do all the good work what you have taught in your life when you are growing at that stage of business. I'm sure everybody in their own life, we think of doing some philanthropic work or some social work or some good work, but it's always constraint of time. So once you are out of business, you can do all that good work you had taught in your life and give a rein to your successor and see that growing and be an advisor to that. In these 4 processes, if one indulge properly, then definitely you can create legacy, and that legacy, once down the road, you become a legend, that the values and the organization created by this person is still continuing. As one of the line I always say in my part of the journey is that I have to preserve and grow what I have inherited from my father and leave something worthwhile for my children to inherit and continue. These are the two things, two responsibility I always carry, and a person in the family business and creating a legacy always have to maintain this. But there's, I thank Dr. Musa and the Barclays for giving me this opportunity. Sub-Sahara opportunity, what we discussing today, I'm sure that by end of the day, in the proceedings, there is a lot of take home for everyone, and look for opportunities in Sub-Sahara and the African continent. Current century, we say, is a century of Asia. The next century is a century of Africa, but it's how we are going to take that opportunity. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.